Hello, welcome to Sunday Night Live with me, the Real Fifth Beatle. Tonight I've got two very special guests. I've got Gareth from Video Tasties, I'm sure everybody knows. And
Hello.
I've also got Jay Harang from Harang TV. What's
Hello.
up, guys?
If that's his real
Good,
name.
good. Well, it's not my real name, but
Yeah, where does the Harang come from?
well, harangue means
word.
to it's like to do a diatribe sort of thing. So it just fits. And the initials, Jay is my nickname, not my real name, but my initials are the same. So it fits.
Oh yeah, I know your real name kind of because I kind of like wasn't allowed to post certain words on your live
Yeah,
stream.
that's right. Yeah, you're not allowed to say. You couldn't say Grange Hill. Couldn't
I was
say
like-
Notting Hill.
I was like, where the
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
like twice I used the same word. I'm like, why am I? Have I been banned or something?
Yeah.
So anyway, we've got a few topics to discuss tonight. All follow a similar sort of trend, you know, the kind of like nonsense that's going on in the 2023. But let's just jump right into like the first topic of conversation, which I know is something that you covered in last week's stream on your channel.
Yeah. Oh, hang on,
And
you've
he's
gone.
muted.
You've gone. You muted. You've knocked your microphone again. And
No.
again. Still not working.
I don't know how that's happened.
Oh, you're on now. You're back.
There he is.
Yeah.
Because so basically this is basically about the new James, but it's James Bond novel, but it's about more than that. It's about the way Bond is going to be going that further down the line. So
Yeah.
James Bond has been on a kind of trajectory in the last few movies where we're going to see Daniel Craig become a bit more, let's just say, a pussy.
Shit. Mm.
Crying, you know, and this introduction of a new 007, we can all see the way this shit's going, right? So, and with this new novel that's dropped in the last few months, which I thought was parody, I had to do some research because when I sent it to you, I genuinely couldn't get over how many buzzwords from 2023 in the last few years were in one page. I wish I had it to hand. I should have done my research.
I've got it. I've got
You
it
got
on my phone. So
would you want to read it?
yeah, I'd love to read it. Hang on. I'd
So
love to read
this,
it.
Oh, he lives to read things out.
so this is the James Bond of our youth. Don't forget, you know. And okay, they're bringing it forward for modern audiences, but
Hang on.
try and think of Sean Connery as
Hang
Jay
on.
reads this out.
Yeah,
Jay.
I mean,
Go
you
on, Jay.
just can't really, can you? Good evening, everyone, by the way. Hello, G-Man. Hello, Joseph. Hello, GJ Donnelly. And hello, Visited by Voices. Right. So, yeah, as I say, genuine, totally genuine, 100% real. So, an actual excerpt from the book. Burkett was an ex-Tory MP, famous for promoting COVID vaccine mask-wearing 5G conspiracy theories, which had spilled over into the usual anti-immigrant, anti-EU, anti-BBC, anti-MSN, anti-cultural Marxism, climate change denial pronouncements. It was an anti-trans diatribe that eventually got him kicked out of the Tory party, and he'd soon after set up the new Freedom Party. Now, I think we all know who they're making that out as.
For any Americans, like any Americans in the chat, obviously there's a few Americans there. It's basically against a guy called Nigel Farage, who kind of upset the establishment in 2016 as we left the European Union to go our own way. The mainstream have despised Nigel Farage. But the guy's very much, you know, there's a lot to dislike about the man. There's some things to like about the man, but the mainstream media despise this man because of his involvement in us leaving the European Union. So
yeah, he has some opinions that people don't like.
Yeah.
So, and they're not in keeping with you know, what you'd expect at, I don't know, a West London dinner party. But speaking of that, it goes on. It gets worse than this. So the next paragraph, Bond was struck by something. It was a long while since he'd been in any kind of function that was almost exclusively full of men. It felt strange.
Like this one.
Yeah, exactly. There was not even a pretense of diversity here. Athelstan hadn't been the least bit concerned about ensuring that half of the people he'd hired to carry out his coup should be women or non-white or disabled. This was an unapologetically old school gathering. In Athelstan's world, He was king and could do whatever he wanted.
Right. Well, for starters, Ethelstan definitely needs a mate.
Yeah.
Come on, mate.
Yeah.
Like the first thing I took from that, well, not the first thing, but the most curious thing I took from this. If this guy is like the big bad guy, is Ethelstan, whatever his name is, if he's like meant to be the big bad of the new movie and this book, if he's trying to formulate a coup, why the fuck would he want disabled people involved in a coup?
Well, if you were to do a coup of Britain and you had a diverse membership, people would more likely to lie down, wouldn't they? So it's like the army would just sit back if you're like, no, but some of mine are disabled, so back off a bit. It is an absolute joke. I just can't believe this is real. And obviously, Athelstan, they've tried to make him out as if they're the big bad. But I remember in previous Bond films and Bond books, it's been like the bad guy wants to take over the world with a laser from space. But this time, he's planning non-diverse meetings.
Well, you do wonder, what is his? I've not read the book. I've got no intentions of reading the book. Is it called On His Majesty's Secret Service?
Yes.
Is it? Okay.
So,
I think so, yeah.
So we can only guess at what the plan is for this guy. I mean, what is he going to do? Is he going to try and take over the country and ban dinghies? He's going to
This is his main plan: abolish net zero for a start.
Yeah.
Control immigration. That'll be his other one, and then make the BBC subscrition based. I mean, that's just horrific.
I mean,
just imagine. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well, in that case, can I read some of the original Live and Let Die? Chapter 5.
Absolutely.
N-word heaven.
That's like Jack and Otis.
The title.
Do cut those bits out for the
it's a very short,
the benefit
of a very short chapter. Then if I can't fit the N-word.
Or just go then.
This is turning into Jack and Ori.
I've got my book report I can read out later as well. No, I haven't.
Sorry, Gareth, over to you.
I'm not reading. I didn't read whatever that says.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. So it's just what's the timeline with this? If this book is released this year, when can we expect a movie of this?
Never.
I mean, has every James Bond novel been turned into a movie?
No.
Okay. So
not. There was
Really?
Gardner did loads after Fleming died, and none of his have been filmed, and none of them, they pass the torch every so often, but none of them have turned into a film.
All right. Oh, there's me. I just assumed that you expect that. So they're just basically screenplays, and they turn them into movies. So the books.
Well, they were originally
the books have nothing to do with the films.
Yeah.
Even the Fleming ones.
But the chances are that I mean, percentage-wise, how many of the books are converted to films?
Not
VT,
many.
do you know?
Even the Fleming ones, it's just a name there, an idea here, and vice versa. It's never a full. The Dr. No, Goldfinger, and the early Russia of Love.
Dr.
So who's buying? So what is just this? This is the common theme throughout the stream. Basically, is why are they not aiming pop culture at the people who actually purchase pop culture? Who the fuck is buying this book? The people who've been buying James Bond books for the last 50 years. Why would they buy this book if they saw that excerpt?
I mean,
they wouldn't.
No,
is a blue-haired lesbian on Twitter reading James Bond?
Well, they won't buy it. They'll pretend they want to buy it, but they won't buy it.
Exactly. They'll get it free when it's on Kindle. Yeah, free one of the month to complain about it.
So,
and none of this makes any sense. None of this. If you think about comic books and comic book movies, you'd think if you run a comic book company, you'd think, well, the only way people are going to get into comics now that a lot of comic book shops are shut down is if someone's dad gets them into it, and no one's dad's going to get their kids into it if it's full of crap, are they? But yeah, you've got to think that that's going to be their main way in. But they just don't say. They honestly, these people don't seem to care.
The mainstream, like Marvel, Disney, all these massive multi-billion-dollar companies, they know they're losing money. Disney is losing a fucking fortune at the minute. You know, they're losing subscribers to Disney Plus. The movies are tanking. They're costing millions and millions to make, and they're barely breaking even. And it's like the head honchos at the very top. It's like they'd rather take a hit just so they don't offend people. And I can't get my head around that. It's like, if you're in the business of making money, you'd go for what the majority want, not what a tiny percentage of screaming lunatics on Twitter want. And the problem lies with them. If these big, major, multi-billion-dollar companies would stop just kowtowing to these tiny percentage of people, this would all end tomorrow. But as it is, we get shit forced fed us every fucking day.
Although the new Snow White might have been cancelled now, isn't it? The film.
I don't believe that. I reckon that's just rumours. I think that's Doomcock rumours, isn't it?
Well,
not been official anywhere.
Rachel Zegler's kind of just being a PR disaster for them, because she is such a unlikable, just human being. She just comes across like some sort of screaming SJW type, and they need to just keep her quiet. You know, any future promotions, they just shut your fucking trap and just let everybody else do the talking. Seriously,
if she didn't exist, we'd have to make her up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's almost like she's a plant by people on our side to try and turn everyone against Hollywood.
AI generated
in human form. Yeah, exactly.
Social justice warrior.
But it's just the disrespect for anything that's from like before, like 5 minutes ago, from like this new generation of like celebrities. You know, it's like, the way it's just disdain for the fact that this movie was from the 1930s. Like, what did you fucking expect the 1930s to be like? You stupid cow. Do you know what? It's a different time.
It seems to be it seems to be desperate for a whole erasure of history.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm more interested in the history of erasure. But I want to go to comments. Sorry, so hang on. Have I got my thing? Where is
your
it?
Show.
Sorry. Visited by Voices says it's hard enough to get people to read, and that is true. Like, even I growing up didn't bother. Adding soppy on the nose overt political messages is only making it harder. Well, that's it. I mean, if you want to encourage kids to read, the last big sort of reading frenzy there was the Harry Potter books, wasn't it, in the UK?
Yeah.
And there hasn't really. Well, yeah, but I mean, like that at least got people to read. But I mean, stuff like this is just absolutely no chance, is there? I suppose they can hope that some Lib Dem parents might buy them for their kids. Well, that's probably it, isn't it? Because these are the people we're talking about. You're not one of those, are you, VT? Oh God!
I don't.
I've been on your streams.
Card-carrying member.
No, but it's just, I can't understand how any of this stuff appeals to anyone. Like, even if you agree with those politics, you just don't want you don't want that shoved in your face when you wouldn't want, like, people on the right wouldn't want to go in and see read a comic called MAGA Man or anything like that, would they? It's just like, you just wouldn't want this stuff. Like, it's escapism. Entertainment is supposed to be an element of escapism. Like, unless you're going to watch a documentary, you want people want to escape to things like Transformers. I mean the actual film Transformers, where the robots turn into other stuff.
Yeah, there was a new video. I mean, I don't really play video games, but like a new game dropped from Bethesda recently, Starfield, which is like this kind of like the new IP from the company who made Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and there's the whole non-binary optional they, and it's just like a few people have got in trouble for ranting about this, and it's like, when you invest in a video game, you want a bit of escapism, and it's like forcing like 21st century Californian fucking politics into a video game, and it's just fuck off.
What's his name? Apparently, my lookalike, Heels versus Babyface, went on a matter, which I think is extremely cruel.
That is cruel.
It is, but he went on a massive rant about this, and I can sort of understand his point. I mean, obviously, I don't think I would get that annoyed about.
No, I think he went a bit too overboard, but
yeah,
it's just like it. I think the point he was trying to make is, we've got basically a very, very small percentage of people's beliefs being forced into a multi-billion-dollar video game, which to me just seems like a bit of a strange choice to make. I don't understand why. I mean, something that pops up on Twitter a few weeks ago. It was the big what's it called? It was like a panel show from 2008. It's like
what was it called? It was the thing
Jimmy Carr,
yeah, all those people.
And the punchline was it was along those lines. It was like big fat joke of the year or some shit. But the punchline was, it was a man giving birth, and then it was just big bunch of laughter. The panel were all saying, "Well, what was the thing about the story that was so and he went, well, it's a man having a baby," and they all just laughed at as what a ridiculous storyline.
Yeah,
and this was 2008, and people like James Corden, who laughed his tits off of that, would now be like, "Oh, well, yeah,
clearly not."
But, you know what I mean? It's like biology changed in 15 years, apparently. You know what I mean? It's just it's just. And this, all this fucking nonsense is just getting shoehorned into everything in the media now, and I'm just fucking done with it. I understand now, VT, why you just watch so many 80s movies on VHS, because it's just take you back to a time. I mean, I don't want to sound like an old man, but take me back to a time when there wasn't division. I mean, something I'll just, before we move on to the next subject, one thing we did me and Gareth did the Red Dwarf talk like a month or two ago. Discussion. And Red Dwarf is obviously an 80s/90s sitcom. I know it went on. But essentially it's an 80s, 90s sitcom. Forget the noughties; it was terrible. But the fact that 50% of the main cast were black, it was never ever mentioned during the entire course of its running time. For over 6, 7 series, nobody mentioned the fact that 50% of the cast were black. They didn't meet. There was no need. There was no need to, because we didn't have this fucking division where everything. You know what I mean? It was just so, and you never thought about it. I never when I watched Red Dwarf as in the 1988. I didn't think, oh, there's a black guy there. I just thought it's just Lister. It's just a cat. That was it. That was it. I was thinking. I wasn't trying to think. Oh, I certainly wasn't thinking. Oh, they've just been put in there because they're black.
No, because at that time they wouldn't have been.
No, but now you kind of, even if it's not intentional, you kind of you're so used to it now. You're thinking, oh, they've been put in there because they're black. It's just a token gesture. Back in the 80s and 90s, it was just the way things were. We didn't see any agenda. Now there's a clear agenda. It's just sad. It really is.
Well, it might be. Yeah, I mean, it might be the case. Obviously, I can't really imagine myself in a position of, I don't know, the minority group or anything like that. But it might be the case that while we didn't see anything, that other people did. And I do get that. I do get that. If you grow up in a situation where everything in the media might looks completely different to you, and will start making people feel on the outside of society. But I mean, and I get inclusivity, but what I don't get is, as you say, just making it divisive.
Yeah, I mean, like with Red Dwarf, Lister, his identity was he was from Liverpool.
Yeah,
that was brought up time and time again by Rimmer. It was never that was it. You know what I mean? That's where he was from. It wasn't like, oh, Lister's a black guy. You know what I mean? It was just fuck me.
Yeah, I mean, but Red Dwarf was an exception, wasn't it? Yeah. Around that time.
But
yeah. I mean, I never really watched Red Dwarf, but I mean, there were a few people at my school who were obsessed with it, absolutely obsessed with it.
The gardener and the cleaning staff, probably
the pool cleaner. Yeah, that's not true, by the way. Is it?
The grounds master.
They didn't like it either.
I would just say check out after Series 6. Anything after Series 6 for me is just dead.
Went CGI for a start.
Yeah.
I've got Echo in the chat as well. What's up, Echo? Got Bob in the chat. Obviously, we've introduced Lorne. We've got Joseph in the chat. Good chat. We've got 15 people. This is the star power of Jay and Gareth now.
Must
15
be
people in the chat.
Just me. Yeah. We won't
probably
talk
just
about
change it.
No Retreat, No Surrender haters.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the next topic now. This is another hot potato for me, which I've raised numerous times in streams. So I recently watched Talk to Me, which is an Australian horror movie from some guys who made the big for YouTube. I mean, a lot of people really like this film. I wasn't a big fan. The one thing that strikes me about like this and a lot of modern horror movies is they just seem to have decided now. Again, this is something that just completely seems to just bewilder me. Is like you look at your target demographic for horror movies. It's mainly, obviously we're getting older, but we've grew up with that mentality of liking horror movies. But a lot of young guys like it, mainly males. Let's be fair. I don't want to stereotype, but it's far more male than female.
Yeah,
and they just seem to have completely done away with the idea of hot women in movies and in horror movies, especially. And no, seriously, if you want to Talk to Me, you just, I mean, decent movie. Wasn't the biggest.
Your mic's gone off. Your mic's gone off.
It's an A24 movie.
It's a good time. It's a good job he's got us on here, isn't it? Because otherwise he'd be sat there for 15 minutes talking to himself. There you go.
It's doing it by itself. I'm not even touching it. This is
you don't seem to be doing anything.
No. So anyway, I was watching this movie and it just struck me like, just in terms of like what we used to get in the 80s and 90s in terms of like, female actors. They were good actors. Well, to a point, I wasn't expecting that much, but it just strikes me like, we used to get absolute knockouts in these 80s and 90s movies, and it's like now it's almost like with modern movies, especially, well, horror's one. Okay, maybe horror's probably the least affected, but it's certainly affected. Is there seems to be like they don't seem to want to address the idea that women as like sexual beings. No, as in we don't want to show any cleavage. Women are strong. Women are powerful. Women are can beat men up, and it's like any idea that women are the fairer sex is kind of gone. It's just
I think it's like if they make women attractive, then the assumption is that they're somehow belittling them. And apparently, and I suppose they're trying to. There's this whole thing, like it used to be the case in the 80s. If you wanted to be a film actor, you had to be good looking. No, to be honest, if it was like this now, I might think I had a chance. Like growing up, but you haven't. I wouldn't still, but but at least it will make people think that they have. I think again, it goes back to people wanting to have real life shown in entertainment as opposed to entertainment and escapism, isn't it?
Yeah.
So like when you get when you used to go like the Friday the 13th part, whatever, I can't remember when you made me watch VT. I mean, basically everyone in there's a model, and we were talking about Andy Sidaris the other day. Like literally, they hire Playboy models, and that's and that was one selling point of the films. I suppose. I mean, they're still crap, but like that's a selling point. Whereas I suppose now at least people do watch the films for the reason. For the reason they want to watch, doesn't matter. They want people to watch them for the reason that the film's really good, rather than. Do you know what I mean?
Lauren says, "I hate models acting in horror. I prefer actors to like real people." I mean, I think that's fair for like.
It is, but I disagree with that.
I mean, with a darker sort of tone, like maybe something like a Hereditary type movie, but in terms of if they're going to start going down the route with like even like sort of like more B movie type horror movies where they just decide, well, we'd rather have like the sort of short haired, boyish looking lead. It's just fuck off.
Yeah, sorry, I actually do agree with what you said there because when it is a serious horror, that's absolutely right. You don't. It does having what he says obscenely beautiful people does take you out of it. But certainly for like fun slashers, that's not really. I don't think that applies.
The Virginia Madsen was in Candyman. That didn't put me off.
Is that the original Candyman?
Yeah.
Who is she? The blonde woman? Well, I don't know who this was.
From Electric Dreams and Highlander 2, you must know.
Not seen either of those. No.
A shame.
I see we've got some more evidence for the dossier down there.
I'm wondering, like, with the I didn't watch the last James Bond movie, but was the Bond girl, was she a typical knockout, or was she?
I haven't watched any I haven't watched the last 3 or 4.
Well, that was the black, short-haired female 007 because she had the number 007. But
is it Anna de Armas? Was it Anna de Armas, the Cuban girl? Was she in the last Bond film? Or was that
yeah, she's a trainee in Cuba.
Okay, so. Yeah, she's one of the hottest women on the planet, to be fair. But I have not seen it. I've not seen her in that movie. So whether they made her look as attractive as she did in Blade Runner, I don't know. But
no, she's in a very tight dress. It's very revealing, and she's kicking ass and shooting people.
That's all right then. Conversation over.
Yeah,
Done.
That was the best bit of the film.
Does she?
But it might have been the token bit.
Does she cry in the film?
Spoilers.
Daniel
No,
Craig.
I'm not going to watch it.
Not even when he gets. Well, he has sad moments because.
Does he cry in the film?
His wife and child are in the film, and he has to kill himself to save them. So he does get a bit upset.
Does he cry though?
Sure. I can't remember. I don't think so.
That seems to be a thing about.
He gets upset in Casino Royale in the shower with. What's her face? But that might be crying because she's too upset.
The mace. The mace.
Roger Moore wouldn't have stopped.
Well, you can imagine Roger Moore crying in a movie.
Yeah, I just can't actually. Can you know?
He just raise an eyebrow and just give a little wink to the camera, and then just
that's right. and then slap someone and take what he wanted.
Yeah, double take from a pigeon.
What's up, Jay? He's in the chat. Do I find crying in film important? Well, if it's a James Bond movie. Dawn says, honestly, Mike, you should really watch Indian films because you'll get what you're asking for. I have seen a lot of trailers for Indian. I mean, it's just, I don't.
If they weren't 3 to 4 hours, maybe.
It's with Indian movies, it's hard to know. Am I going to get the right? Because they're not exactly easily accessible. Well, I mean, I don't know where, like, who's streaming them, and sometimes it's like
Amazon Prime UK stream a lot of movies.
Yeah, that's probably the best place to go because I honestly don't know. Are you going to get the right? Sometimes when you watch it, are you definitely getting the correct subtitles? In terms of like effort, because you don't know. I mean, with some of these like more obscure like Indian films, you could be watching it and thinking, well, is this really what they're saying? You're
gone again.
This is a StreamYard issue. This is not my mic. So
no, fair enough.
StreamYard
is just the first time you did it, it muted you, but the symbol came up.
It's only doing it to me though, and not you two. So I don't know what's going on with StreamYard. It's just it is what it is. But I mean, Indian movies are definitely something to check. See, but look at Indian movies and look at like Middle Eastern movies and like Japan, Korea. They stick very close to like the beliefs and stuff, and they haven't really gone down like this rabbit hole of just inclusive. It's just so. Did you see the interview with Mads Mikkelsen?
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, about a film in Norway set in the 13th century or whatever.
Yeah, so, I think it's the 1750s.
Oh, is it? Sorry,
Denmark in the 1750s. Are you worried about the lack of diversity because it might affect your chances of winning an Oscar? And he just went, "What?" It's like,
that new category, or the only way you can get
I mean, you'd have to bin off any chance for a lot of films. That's crazy.
But the thing, what I want to know is, does it work if you get a movie like Parasite, which won obviously Oscar a few years ago? That is an entirely Korean cast.
No, apparently that doesn't apply.
Why? Why?
Because I think the justification is because it's an American award thing that those people would therefore be a minority. Even though it doesn't really matter where it's set. But also, you do have to bear in mind, I believe that the rules there are if the cast are, almost totally, I can't think of the word, but they're all the same, then they can have the crew as being more diverse, and then they can still qualify that way. I think so. Is that not right, BT? You're shaking your head?
I have no idea. It's news to me. I pay no attention to the Academy Awards anymore.
I think it's like the section is either one of, and then it says one lead, from an unrepresented group, from a traditionally unrepresented group, and then or it's like the cast directed by an unrepresented, so you can still qualify that way. The crew, sorry.
What do you think about this? It's like not all me, but you look at the Oscars, and some of the best movies that have ever been made have been nominated for Oscars. You know, I mean, sometimes we get terrible films nominated, but you know, you look at some of the Parasite was I thought was an amazing film, but it's a bit worrying if that you've got this amazing director with an amazing cast who think, right, well, you're out the door because we can't have you in this film, so we've got to get this guy who's not as good an actor and won't really fit into the movie because it's totally out of place, but we really want to get that Oscar nomination. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that is going to happen. Yeah.
It's such a fucked up way of making films. It really is.
Yeah.
It's like self-censoring. You know, well, we can't. Yeah. It's just such a weird way to operate, and it could only happen in the Western world. Do you honestly think in like an Indian versus the Bollywood Oscars, you know, they would do something along those lines where a Bollywood movie could only, had to have so much diversity? It'd be just insane.
Well, I think the takeaway is that most people in India or Korea have probably got better things to worry about than the sort of things that we're worrying about.
Well, it's definitely problems for like people in California. That's or any Actually, California
university town in
Gary Glenn Ross.
What was his name? Richard Dreyfuss came out against that, didn't he?
Yes.
Probably said it was bullshit. But there's arguments for, and there's all arguments for. I mean, I'm generally against quotas in most situations, but there are times when perhaps they're worthwhile. But I think in entertainment, I don't think you can. Art does not need quotas, I don't think.
Yeah, if they're already good, they'll be in the film.
Yeah.
Like if we are going to get a B movie horror movie, I want a fair amount of quotas of good-looking women. I think that's it. And men as well. You know, it's you want your geek, you want the slut, you want the job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Don't mess with our traditions.
Yeah, off them in the shower.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's like Slumber Party Massacre. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, Jay, but highly recommend it.
Somebody told me to watch it, and I hated it.
You were supposed to do it at home, yes.
Yeah, I started it, and I was like, no. Is that is the one where the three kids break into those houses for a closer look? Is it, or is that another one?
That could be another one.
I think that's another one.
This is the guy who uses a power drill to kill the women, and
I've seen that. Yeah,
not remotely sexual way. It's got a totally. Well, you could say needless shower scene, which goes on for about 5 minutes, but I would say it's absolutely one of the greatest scenes in movie history.
Story.
Yeah, but
it's how you get to know the characters.
Character development.
But then they had a remake this year where it had a male shower scene in it, just equality.
Again,
I'll make sure to check that out.
Fast forward.
How many? I would be curious to know how many women and gay guys are watching a Slumber Party Massacre remake.
Yeah,
I'm guessing not many.
It's almost as if they people that have got generally male audience don't want it, and they sort of want to bin that audience off. They're acting as if men will cease to exist. I mean, unfortunately, they will always exist. Unfortunately for these people, men will always exist, and not every man is obviously some sort of toxic monster.
Are there any ladies in the chat tonight?
I doubt it. Come on.
Look at the panel.
What's the analytics like then for your channel?
My channel, it's literally like 98% white males.
Mine, believe it or not, is 75% male and 25% female, which is quite surprising. It's because of Lifetime, yeah. the male stuff is the porn stuff.
Are you doing Hallmark Christmas films soon?
I will be for Christmas, and I'll be doing. And I need to think of some horror films to do for Halloween. Bad horror films. So I'm sure you're going to have some suggestions.
I only send you good suggestions. Then you just turn them around into bad films.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
We are.
Jay's on the same page. Jay's on the same page as me when it comes to a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
But one final thing about this, I will say, is it's like, people could say, well, it's to like objectify, it's horror movies. Of course, we objectify women in horror movies. We've always done that. The fact of the matter is, okay, if it's bad, then stop objectifying men.
Yeah.
Because you can't just say, well, we're going to objectify men for the next 40 years because you did it for 40 years, and then it's okay.
Yeah.
No. You just don't objectify men, because there's a new Amazon.
Turning into revenge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like Amazon Prime have got like this their sort of Game of Thrones competitor. It's complete dog shit. Wheel of Time.
Yeah,
I've not seen that. I've heard about it.
Well, I've read all the books. They've kind of like it's woke. It's woke as hell. It's woke as hell. They've basically it's because it's so woke. The whole in the books, you've got an entire continent of people, and obviously in different parts of the world, people different. You got but with it being so woke now, so you go to the original the original book starts off in a very small village, like a homogenous village. In the TV show, in the first episode, it's like Times Square in New York. It's just insane. It's like, but then they go to another village, and it's exactly the same. They go to a city which would be more diverse. So it's like when you make everything diverse, nothing's diverse.
That's right. Yeah.
Same genetic. It's the same makeup. Through every village and city they go to, it's the same. It's 20% black people, it's 20% white people, it's 20%. It's just, I think there was a fucking Eskimo in one of them.
I believe the term is, well, whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, there isn't a proper term.
Yeah. Well, it's incredible they talk about representation when things are representative of like New York and LA, perhaps, but they're not representative of the rest of America. Exactly. They're certainly not representative of actual places in the world. Yeah, I mean,
everybody.
And if they want to be representative of the world, 70% of them would be East Asian, and they won't have that, will they? Because in America, that's seen as like they're seen as that one of the most what's the word, privileged groups.
But it's like anybody who calls it out, they'll say, well, it's like it's a fantasy show, so why are you questioning? But it may be a fantasy show, but I don't think it's still based on the real world in a way. It's like if you had a homogenous village, it would be homogenous. It would. I don't care if it is a fantasy fucking. I mean, Lord of the Rings. If Lord of the Rings had been made now, maybe with somebody who wasn't as like strong-minded as Peter Jackson, because he's very anti that sort of thing. I believe you do kind of wonder if they would have just completely just shit all over Tolkien's ideas, because Tolkien was very, very specific. He based. It's maybe fantasy, but it's based on England.
Yeah,
that's what it's based on.
Is it England? Or it's okay.
It's England in the 40s or 50s, wasn't it? Or something?
Yeah,
right. It was how he saw it.
I don't know much about Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Tolkien was
I've certainly never watched the Amazon one.
Just in the form version.
Oh, that Rings of Power is just awful.
Well, everyone on the internet, the big red letter people are all over that. Well, they were, weren't they, when it came out?
Do you remember they tried to plug it before the show began? They took these influencers to watch a screening of the opening episode, and they were like they were meant to be like hardcore fans, and they clearly weren't.
None of them had watched it. None of them were. Yeah.
I mean, you had this gay guy who said, "Oh, Sauron's so hot. I could convert him.
Call me."
Literally said, "I could convert him." I'm like, "Oh my god, this guy's an expert, is he?" Oh, fuck off. The best thing about it is though, when they had this big opening thing for like this, this special screening, and what they didn't realize is, in the background for like one of the shots, somebody's taking a piss, just standing up.
That's right. Yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah,
it's like that just slipped through. Oh my god, that was so good.
It's brilliant. I mean, I remember that little thing they did with those YouTubers, weren't they? And they're talking about their disabilities and diversities, and that was all over YouTube for months.
It was terrible. It was.
Yeah,
that's just showing a tight disconnect with what the fans want. These bratty little YouTubers, or Instagram TikTokers, whatever the fuck they are, who've got no fucking idea of the law or anything, and they were put forward as like the experts.
Yeah,
it's just laughable.
Well, clearly they were trying to get clearly that's the audience they were trying to cultivate, but I just can't imagine. I just can't imagine that paid off. I think they're trying to sell things to an audience, create demand amongst people who don't really exist en masse. That's the problem.
The people who are kind of like following Instagrammers and TikTokers, they don't sit down and watch an hour-long TV show. They can't watch something for more than 5 seconds. So it's completely fucking pointless.
Yeah, my analytics would suggest that that's the case. Yes, 5 seconds off it goes.
Yeah, I think mine.
Didn't they try to diversify football? The football crowds.
Oh, well, they've been doing that for ages.
I know, but then it never took off.
Well, they're trying to diversify the women's England team because there was too many like blonde women. Despite the fact that the men's team is like 50% black guys.
Yeah,
it's like they just said, well, why are there so many white? It was really, really like so, reverse racism the way it was described. Why are there so many blonde-haired, blue-eyed women in this women in this team? Well, because they're the best players.
I'd also like to
diversify. It's like
I'd like to see some diversity in women's football. I'd like to see a decent goalkeeper. That'd be nice.
Maybe get a big bloke.
Yeah, that's right. You just need one of them to switch over. Anyone between the ages of 16 and 60.
I just, I really want, like, just, because of all this, like, the controversy over, like, that the swimmer who went into women's swimming. I just want to see, like, Usain Bolt become a 100-meter runner.
Yeah,
I mean, he's getting on now, but he could still do it. Or just like LeBron James going into the women's basketball.
Federer and Nadal as women's doubles team. I mean, they've already got the hair. Nadal already puts his fingers up.
A male dolphin that identifies as a female swimmer.
Yeah, right.
That's what it needs for this to really be called out. You know what I mean? People, because it's like kind of like, who gives a fuck about swimming, really?
No one.
Maybe if Matthew
apparently
Phelps,
everyone on YouTube does or did for that.
Anyway, let's get on to our final topic of the night. This is kind of following in a similar vein, really, because it's about it's about the Rotten Tomatoes purchase. Using basically people to bump up movie scores. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought less about that as the story, more about the idea of how out of touch these kind of, well, certainly Rotten Tomatoes especially, is when it, not them especially, but when you get movies coming through now, you always look at the critic score, and if it's low, that usually means to me, it's a fucking decent film.
Yeah, that's always what I think,
Yeah, because they are always completely at odds, and how it seems with like what the actual audience think. You know what I mean? And certainly, again, we keep on going. Well, I keep on going about it. If a movie's got a political agenda, the critics fucking pump that score right up into the 90s, and then the movies, the audience score is way down.
Yeah,
because they're sick of all the shit. You look at some of the Marvel movies. Some of the non-Marvel Disney movies now, which are just. You can guarantee that Snow White is going to get, pushed right up there when that drops, and then the audience score is going to be horrendous. And it's just
I've done this as well. I've actually gone and rated down things that I haven't even seen, just because I don't like the idea of it. And I know that's skewing stuff, but like,
well, to be fair,
I just think they're doing it, so I'm doing it as well.
I did give Cuties a 1-star review on IMDb.
I did that as well.
Because let's face it, Netflix, the fact that you've still got that on your streaming service, which is just so noncy. It really is. I've not seen the film, but I've seen the worst parts of it on a YouTube video. And my God, the fact that you allowed like 500 young girls to twerk and dance in front of like some fucking pedos in a room. And like you only discovered the main actor on the very last screening. I was like, come on, that's dodgy as fuck. It's like, that was just,
I've seen two people on social media I know that are neutral reviewers, and they've both been turned down by Rotten Tomatoes to be placed on there.
Why? For what reason?
It just says you're not suitable at the moment.
Right. Okay.
You don't have to make politics, basically.
Yeah.
So what they've been doing, I understand there's this company, I can't remember the name of the company, but they are paying people $50 to write positive reviews about certain films.
Yeah.
And when I say certain films, we all know which ones, probably. You can guess, can't you?
Yeah.
And I just find it incredible that I can see why then again, I've worked at places before. I was an estate agent, and we were targeted as number of reviews, and they pretty much told us to go on to Google, make fake accounts, and write nice things about it. So this happens everywhere.
I will do reviews for $40, no problem.
Yeah, well, this was one of our targets, like sales and reviews, and it was just sitting at home and making Google accounts.
Gareth, you're going to be getting that call. You're going to be getting that call very soon, I think. But if they discover your non-woke channel, though, it's like, ooh.
What? My channel is very woke and family friendly.
Your channel, yeah, but with your new series, Modern Audience Reacts, your channel is now you've gone into the anti-SJW crowd, which will get you more subscribers. I'm telling you, but
you can't walk around Weston-super-Mare with that channel, because I can imagine Weston-super-Mare being just woke as hell.
No,
it's
not.
No.
I
thought it's near
Bristol. You two.
It's near Bristol.
Hold on, it is near Bristol, but if you go to the outskirts of Bristol, it's like London.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain areas of London where it is, like where things like that. No, but Weston-super-Mare is going to be. I suspect. Let's just say I can't imagine many people in Weston-super-Mare voted to remain in the EU.
We get Roy Chubby Brown and Jim Davidson annually.
He got cancelled in Sheffield.
Yeah, exactly. I have to say, however, whatever my politics, I cannot defend Roy Chubby Brown or Jim Davidson. It's just terrible.
They're just bad comedians.
Yeah, terrible.
Come down for a show. I'll show you an evening out.
But the amount of people who are tribally right who would go, well, I actually like Jim Davidson. I think he's really funny. Or Roy Chubby Brown's hilarious. I buy the DVDs. Like, don't lie. Just stop lying. But the left lies about things that they pretend to find funny as well, don't they?
Well, I've never seen a left-wing comedian who's funny.
I think
Stuart Lee,
yeah.
Imaginary Black Wife is genius.
I mean, he's done so much stuff that really makes me laugh.
Yeah,
have you ever seen his comedy vehicle shows?
No.
I mean, his stuff is basically all laughing at people like us, but it's funny. It's really good. But you've got to be able to laugh at yourself, haven't you? And obviously, most normal people can laugh at themselves, but there's a few freaks on both sides who won't take any of it.
I mean, Ricky Gervais is on the left, and Ricky Gervais is fucking genius, in my opinion. I fucking adore Ricky Gervais, and he definitely, the thing with Ricky Gervais is he's on the left, but like J.K. Rowling, he makes fun of the whole, tea issue. But because Ricky Gervais is very much science based. He loves science. He loves how biology works, and so it must be difficult for him to see all this come up. He must be thinking, how can I take the piss out of this and make it into a routine? Because it's like people like him are not going to just sit there and go, I'm just going to accept all this, and I'm not. And the thing that really pisses me off, this.
And you've gone again.
What really pisses me off is when he did the whole trans routine on his last.
Okay, hang on. Wait, stop. What's actually going on here? Is it stopping picking up your microphone and it's transitioning to your laptop audio?
Are we talking about transitioning again?
No, that's not what I meant. While he's fixing that, I'll address something in the chat. Frankie Boyle is still funny and he's pretty socially conscious. I used to like Frankie Boyle, I think, because he's just for the shock factor. But I haven't seen any of his stuff for ages. I get the impression that he's doing
sold out. He's sold out.
All right.
Frankie Boyle's sold out big time.
Has he?
Yeah, big time. Because he was.
Because I haven't seen any of his stuff for ages. I used to like it, but I just got the impression on Twitter that he just was stopped making funny jokes now.
This is a guy who made a joke about Katie Price's disabled young son.
Yeah.
But now he's offended by trans jokes. So you can't be offended by a fucking joke about trans people whilst making jokes about a disabled black baby.
Yeah.
You can't have your cake and eat it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, he was all about sort of shock humor. When you start laughing and you bite your hand because you know you shouldn't be laughing.
He was shocked by Ricky Gervais's, and he made a really cheap jibe at Ricky Gervais, like basically saying he's not a stand-up comedian. Well, if he's standing up on a stage in front of like 20, he's just fucking jealous, basically, because he's not getting that. He's on the BBC's payroll now, so the BBC is just a fucking disgusting company. Ricky Gervais is getting that Netflix money. He's making millions. Go back to the original point. Somebody said when Ricky Gervais did that live stand-up that he was punching down, and you should always punch up. No, you shouldn't. You should punch down.
Punch much funnier.
It's fucking punch down, punch up, punch out, do it, whatever. A funny joke is a funny joke. It doesn't fucking matter what the joke. It's just, some of the edgiest jokes and some of the funniest jokes I ever heard were on the school playground when I was a kid. Well, long before the internet came along. You remember when somebody famous died? Like within the hour,
straight in.
Within the hour, there'd be a joke about it, edited how offensive it was. You would piss yourself. Because it was funny.
It was funny because it was funny because it was wrong, and that's what Frankie Boyle used to be. I mean, the best ones I remember. I think I've seen them on. I think it was your stream, VT. Someone went through a list of them. But I remember when the Jeremy Beadle jokes started coming out, and they were instant, and they were all so good. Because I mean, obviously he had died, right? But all they were doing is tying his death into stuff about his little wanking hand.
I have no recollection.
Lorne says, this is a big pet peeve of mine. Science is a mythology, not a doctrine. Everyone uses induction and reason in their daily lives.
That's exactly what I mean. Totally. It's and it's what science is just best guess. I mean, it's effectively what it is. I mean, science is not like necessarily a truthful fact. Like, I mean, it just can't be because science changes. So yeah, but that's very true.
Men still can't have babies though.
Well, no, I know, obviously, but
walkabout.
No, but that's literally. I literally saw someone on Twitter make a point that they literally made the point that science changes, and they were insinuating that well, things have changed now. I'm like, no, things haven't changed. Men still can't have babies.
Yeah, but for example, smoking's not good for you. And acid rain is not going to burn us when we walk outside, and the Maldives isn't going to go underwater. Do you know what I mean? The science might suggest it is, but then you've got different, a lot of the like climate change, like what can you call them? Climate change dogma people. They're like they attach themselves to one or two reports, and they read that out constantly on every single show they go on, and ignore other stuff. It's just you can just pick the bits you want. Especially since, remember 2020 to 2021? I mean, the number of people picking bits out of that. And just going with that.
According to Greta Thunberg, we should be all dead now because the Earth should have ended about 6 months ago. But here, so
sorry. When I say science changes, I mean the outcome of science changes. I agree with what you're saying now. Yeah, that's what I mean. Science never settles.
I always told people who are offended by the quote unquote animal abuse and cattle holocaust, don't watch Nicholas Roeg's Walkabout then. Have I seen Walkabout?
I've not seen that.
I don't think I have. Well, Froggy, come on.
Crows, I think that is. Yeah.
Are you using your laptop to type? Because that's what looks like when I use my laptop. I haven't got spell check. It's just
yeah.
Because my fat fingers, the phone is harder for me.
Oh, right. Okay.
Big fat sausage fingers smashing away on a little phone keyboard. It's not good.
Jay's just like the Big Show or Andre the Giant's trying to.
You just
is that?
You saying your hands are not comparable to the rest of you?
Yeah. Okay. Am I what? Sorry, VT.
Your hands are quite bigger than the rest of you are in comparison to the same size as.
Everything's bigger than that, I'm afraid. So yeah, my hands are bigger than that. My feet are much bigger than that. No, sadly, that's just I found that to not be true.
Okay, I think we've wrapped up our 3 topics of conversation tonight. Anyway, wanted to keep this quite lean and under an hour. So just a few plugs. Well, first of all,
license won't rob itself.
See, look, this is what I get: racism against Scousers every single time from VT. You know what I mean? I should really go and cry, shouldn't I?
You should really.
You were picking on Western Superman.
Get him cancelled.
Well, but I was born I'm a Gen Xer, so we're all Gen Xers here. So
yeah, I like to think of myself as an exhumer. which is a Gen X person, but with the mind of a boomer.
So just quickly acknowledge the chat and then let you guys plug your channels. Thanks to Vas, Dan, Lorne, Bob, Froggy, Zombie 7979. I think a few people have come over from your channel again, Gareth, and maybe you, Jay. Phil, Dan. Yeah, I think DJ was here earlier. Joseph as well. If I've missed anyone out, I do apologise. It's been a lively chat tonight, I've got to say. Obviously, that's when you get a couple of 1,000+ subscriber channels on. You know, it works wonders. So before we go, do you want to just plug your channels, Jay?
Yeah, I just talk about soft porn and stalker movies, Lifetime stuff. I suppose it's not my channel is apolitical. Well, mostly.
What?
Yeah, I'm obviously pretty right wing, but my channel isn't right wing.
What about your lives?
It's for everyone. My lives are atrocious. Yeah. So yeah, subscribe if you like it, but please don't give me a pity sub because it destroys me in the algorithm.
Gareth,
I will take any pity subs, any bots.
Are you live tomorrow?
I'm sorry. Can I just plug V2's channel very quickly? If you haven't watched it, check out his Modern Audience React series. It's very good.
Well, thank you, Jay.
That's right.
You're still not forgiven for No Retreat, No Surrender.
I don't care what you say about that. It's shit, and that's the end of it.
Oh, thank you, Dan. Good to be back.
Yes,
thank you, Jay, for jumping on
and making an effort tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, are you live tomorrow, Gareth?
I might be. One of my strip poker partners has dropped out, so we'll see.
We'll just play video games then. So they're my favourite videos of yours. You playing old games.
Well, I remember that.
No, I mean, to be fair, I like it when Jeff's on as well, and Jay,
Yeah.
and me, obviously. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys, for jumping on. Appreciate it. Everyone in the chat, thank you very much. All the nice comments. I will see you later. Good night.
Thank you, guys.